I have a different theory to offer you, sir.
Hello, guys! This is Keys to the Truth. And first and foremost, let us thank the Almighty Creator for blessing us, gracing us with divine wisdom, divine knowledge. May His graces always shine upon you and I forever and ever, so that we may surpass through His grace the delusion of this world and the delusion of evil. So let us get down to business. What is an eclipse? I do not pretend to know everything there is to know about an eclipse. I know very little. In fact, I am quite ignorant of eclipses. But whatever little I know, I will try to the best of my abilities to share with you along the course of this video. What is the mainstream explanation? Let's see. Mainstream explanation. What is an eclipse? Everybody knows. It's the moon that goes in front of the sun. But I'll tell you, the quickest way to debunk that is very, very simple. And the simplest things are one of the keys to the truth. When you see the moon during the daytime, how do you see it? The luna or moon appears translucent or transparent to me whenever I see it during the daytime. Meaning I see blue through it, behind it. I see blue. Most of you do. If you don't, tell me in the comments. Tell me you see black behind it. It's blocking the light. I don't ever see the moon blocking the light. All I see it is lighting up and shining a white light, and sometimes yellowish, sometimes even red. When you see it on the horizon, sometimes it's really, really red or yellowish or orange. And then, of course, during eclipses, it changes. But we're talking more in particular in this video about total solar eclipses. Let me make that parenthesis right there. All the pictures I have, all my personal experiences are of a translucent, semi-transparent moon. During the nighttime, it's a different thing. It's harder to tell because you mainly see black behind it. You could make the case, hey, it's blocking light, but for me, it just doesn't cut the mustard. I have to go with my direct observation without any sort of interpretation, and that's another key to the truth. What is the raw personal experience that you have? Please, again, share it in the comments, and if you want to like and subscribe, I leave that up to you. I'm not even mentioning that anymore because I really don't give a hoot. I care about sharing good intel, actionable intel with you guys. So anyway, so that's one debunk, that the moon is not the cause of the eclipses. So then the naysayers are going to say, well, what causes the eclipse then? If it's not the moon, genius, then what else could it be? Well, it's very simple. So I'm going to tell you that there's a third celestial body. There's even a fourth, but the fourth celestial body doesn't cause the full solar eclipses. It caused the one at the end of last year. But this one is due to Rahu. It's a third celestial body, if you will. It's a black hole sun. And that's the one that obscures the light of the sun. Now, I could tell you it's an invisible unicorn. But the thing is to have proof, evidence. And I do, as a matter of fact, have proof and evidence that there is a black hole sun above us. And I'm going to show you that proof here in a minute. That is causing the full solar eclipses and also the occultation of the moon whenever it's due. Now, there's going to be something very different about this solar eclipse beyond all other solar eclipses. And I'll tell you that later in the video as well. That's why it makes it extra special. Of course, the elites tell you in secret. Look, what's the name of Rahu in Greek? It's Apophis. They call it Apep in ancient Egypt. So what's the name of that mission that NASA is allegedly launching? They're calling it Apep. And of course, they hide it as an acronym. It's not an acronym. They name these things for spiritual reasons. So APEP, according to NASA, is these sounding rockets. And I'll come back to the sounding rockets and why they're using sounding rockets. But so they're telling you, allegedly, they're launching 3 rockets at the eclipse, and they're giving you the name APEP. So it's a wink, it's a nod, it's a wink wink to those that are in the know, that know that the eclipse is really caused by APEP, Apophis, or Rahu, and it's not caused by the moon. Okay, that's for the gullible masses. That's the gaslighting. That's for the sheeple, for the plebes, for the chattel, for the unthinking masses. For the initiates, I'm not an initiate, but for those that are in the know, it's APEP, it's Rahu, it's Apophis. Just like in all those movies where they have predictive programming and NASA's telling you, wink, wink, we know what it is. It's not the moon. It's the black hole sun. Call it whatever you want. I call it one proof or one piece of evidence, one key to the truth, which is what the elites show you in entertainment. That's one. And then another is in the news, how they hide it under different disguises, but they're actually divulging the truth.
Imagine for a moment that this thing is not anything that can be identified because it prefers not to be. Wherever there is life, it brings death. Because it is evil, absolute evil.
One more reason to shoot first.
Evil begets evil, Mr. President. Shooting will only make it stronger.
Probe will attain its objective in 5 seconds. Growth rate is at 27%.
Your theory is interesting, Father, but we don't have time to go into that right now.
Time is of no importance, Mr. President. Only life is important.
You're right. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to protect the life of some 200 billion of my fellow citizens. General, you may fire when ready.
Upfront loading of a 120ZR missile. Marker lights on the objective.
Its structure has just solidified on the surface.
I think it's anticipating the attack. Anticipation denotes intelligence.
The most terrible intelligence imaginable, Mr. President.
120's loaded.
The ship is in combat formation. Missiles are loaded, Mr. President.
Stetter,
Yes, sir.
I have a doubt.
I don't, Mr. President.
Stetter, what happened? Stetter, can you hear me? Stetter, what happened, Stetter? Did you destroy it?
I'm about to, sir.
The planet has increased in diameter by 200%.
It's moving towards the ship.
What do we have that's bigger than 240?
Nothing, sir.
Stetter, do you hear me? Get out of there. I don't want an incident. Do you hear me, Stetter? Get out of there. Can you hear me, Stetter? Do you understand? Listen. This is the president. That's an order. Do you understand? Do you hear me? Out of there. Stetter, answer me. This is square.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rocket away. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. That's 7. That's 8. That's 25. That's 30. That's 35.
I have work to do.
Put the mortal below deck if you want him to live. try as you might. Things would be different if I could dwell amongst my children in the Garden of the Nile. It is my burden to fight the demon Apophis night after night. Egypt must never be destroyed by chaos. So you see, there are things worse than said.
Let's see. So why do I say it's a black hole? First of all, we have to realize what a black hole is. And to realize what an eclipse is, and that an eclipse is a black hole, we first have to know what electricity is. So be sure to check out my video on what electricity is, or what is electricity. And that was actually the blueprint, and that provided us with the path towards discovering what an eclipse is. And the timing is not a coincidence. I love a word, by the way, that they use in Sanskritam for coincidence. The word in Vedic times used to be Sam Yoga, which is the unity with the divine. So Sam Yoga is the truth. Coincidence, there's no such thing. So electricity is the permit for things to illuminate. That's what it is. And illumination is also equivalent, or can be equivalent, with movement in 3D space, work, and power, because electricity is also linked with power, which is Shakti in Sanskrit. So what would be the opposite of electricity? It would be the total absence of electricity. And so be sure to check out that video. I'm not going to make 20-hour videos each time explaining each little different thing. So go through my playlists when you have a minute. I'm not monetizing this channel, and it's never going to monetize anyway. So this is just for the benefit of you and I and the rest of mankind, of the souls, while we're here, while we're going through these tribulations. Anyway, so electricity is the permit for things to light up. Now, what are things made of? Things are made of matter, what we call matter, 3D matter in this reality, or at least in the level that we're in of reality, is composed of crystals. Crystals in different states, can be liquid crystals, can be in gas form, can be in plasma state. Not so much plasma. Plasma is more for different higher realities, but we also get some plasma in our dimension. And then there's a few examples that we have of things that are transparent because they are insulators. For example, glass. Glass is transparent because it's an insulator. Also water. Pure water is a complete insulator, and it's almost invisible because it's not allowing the electricity or the permission to flow through it. Remember, electrons and particle physics, it's all ridiculous. It's nonsense. What the reality is completely different. Our world is magical. So anyway, I'm trying to stay focused on the subject, no pun intended, because there's so many threads, right? So many rabbit holes. And this is also the same reason why black things are black, and why carbon is black, and carbon oxide and copper oxide, wink wink, is black because of their electrical properties, and that's going to translate into their illumination properties, or how things light up. All right. So the absence of electricity, complete absence of electricity, would mean a black hole, would be an electrical sink, a void that's absorbing all electricity around it, and it's not letting it go back out. This is also the way super black paints, new technology, super black paints are made. They're using electrical programming so that these paints absorb the electricity and don't let it back out. Okay, this is also, you know, how they're doing a lot of these paints. So you can research that on your own time. So an electrical sink would render an area or volume with zero visibility. Not just zero visibility, but even a void which could potentially engulf electricity or light in its vicinity. And that's what we're looking at during an eclipse. Giving a specific set of techniques, one could theoretically remove any and all electrical permittivity or conductivity. and render a black hole or an invisibility device, a cloaking device. And we can observe this in popular culture. We can observe this, for example, in the way that Alien Predator cloaks himself. You see it's an electrical thing. And because that's the elites, they're telling you how it works. It's electrical based. Optics are related to electrics. And also the cloaking device for like spaceships and the Bird of Prey in the Klingon Empire for Star Trek, they use this technology, which has been available for years already in Dark Ops and other such top secret programs. And we have a clip here that I'm going to show you where a stealth bomber passes overhead and they turn on the cloaking device. And that's why they couldn't see them in Operation Desert Storm in Iraq with Saddam Hussein, because they were actually cloaking. They were not just invisible to radar, but they were also flying at nighttime and invisible to the naked eye because they had cloaking mechanisms, all right? And so these are a real thing. And this is depicted in movies and entertainment as fiction, but it's real, right? So if what you're saying, Keys to the Truth, is real, how could we validate this? How can we validate it and test your hypothesis? Very simple. During an eclipse, when the void passes overhead, it's not a moon, it's the void, it's a black hole. That's why they mess with you when they're telling you about black holes. And outer space is not real, but outer black hole is real. There is only one black hole, thank the Lord. But so this black hole goes around the Earth all the time. It's not just there during the eclipses. The special thing about the eclipse is that it's passing underneath the moon or the sun in this case. And so it's powering up and it's absorbing the energy of those other celestial bodies. Normally it's there to perform a different function. I'll tell you this in a minute, okay? So during the eclipse, when the void passes overhead, we would observe energies being drained if this were true. And this is true because when you see it in the news, you start connecting the dots and they start giving you news that the power grid might go down through the area of the eclipse. And you're like, why is that going to happen? They start spinning it with a bunch of lies. But the truth is that the electrical grid is acting like all the cables that you see outside, they're acting as copper spools that are harvesting the atmospheric energy, the energy that's coming from the sun, all right? And it's hitting the ground level, and all the electrical posts and cables, they're all harvesting that atmospheric energy. So this is also why the power grid goes down when there's a cold spell, because the electrical conductivity goes down when there's a lot of cold. So, and it goes up with the heat. All right, and this is validated again because you can see all over the news that they're already saying that there might be power outages during the eclipse. They're going to blame it on, oh, there's too many people using. It's not that. Oh, there's too many people. No, that's not it. What it is that the black hole, the void, the abyss is sucking the power, and it's sucking not just light, not just visible light, but it's sucking all kinds of energy. All right, cell phones lose battery as well. So there's a lot of accounts of that, people having that. Your car battery might die. Your power in your house might go out. So be prepared, okay? If you have anybody that if you're like hospital or anybody that needs intensive care or needs electricity for some life-threatening condition, have a backup. But even backup batteries may fail, all right? So just be prepared. Commercial jetliners are also electrical and hybrids. Meaning they don't run on jet fuel. That's just for when they're taxiing on the runway. What they run in is on electrical. They have an electrical perpetual motion machine of the third kind. You can check that out on my videos on how airplanes fly, how turbines work. I've covered that in detail. So there will be no flights directly flying underneath the eclipse. This is not going to happen. They're going to spin it. They're already spinning it, and they're already giving emergency declarations because they're going to ground the flights. They're going to delay them. They're going to blame them on the crowds. They're going to blame them on the tourism. It's not that. It's just that the airplane being electrical or hybrid would fall down if it's flying directly underneath Rahu or APEP or whatever you want to call it, because the electrical energy would be sucked out and the thing would fall flat, okay? And a lot of people would die. So don't fly on that day. I highly, would stress that. So no flying during the eclipse, please, guys. And but never fly directly underneath the eclipse. They're not going to allow it, all right? That's one consideration. And even if you have, let's say, oh, I have a little Cessna plane that's flying on motor fuel of some kind. Well, that's not going to fly either. Maybe if you're flying really low altitude, you could. But if you're flying really high altitude and you're directly underneath the void, you're going to drop like a stone, because like a sack of stones, or sack of potatoes, because lift is an electromagnetic phenomenon. And you can also see this on my videos. Why does hot air rise? I've covered this in detail. Lift is not what you've been told. There's no such thing as gravity. It's not due to density and buoyancy. Those are all red herrings. It's an electromagnetic phenomenon, okay? So if you have a thing overhead that's sucking out all the energy, whatever's flying is going to fall down, all right? So don't even try it. You could probably try and fly a kite and see, or some kind of remote controlled or vehicle, maybe even a drone, and see what happens if they fall or not. That would be a good experiment, all right? So actual experimentation with different types of measurements. It would be great to measure temperature in that day, wind speed, electrical conductivity and permittivity, Tesla meters, radiation meters, all those things would be amazing. And this is also the reason why clouds disappear during the eclipse. They either disappear or they can come in. But you have this very notorious effect on cloud cover. Why? Because clouds are being energized by the sun and by the earth and the stars. And when the void passes overhead, it's going to dissipate all that energy and the clouds are going to disappear. That's why you get clear skies. You can also get cloud cover depending on the nature of the eclipse. But in this eclipse in particular, they're already predicting that the clouds are going to dissipate. They give no particular reason for it, but the reason is that. So that's another proof that it's an energy void, an energy sink, an electricity sink. It's going to suck out all the energy as it passes through, all right? The energy that's naturally being provided by the sun, the stars, the sun primarily, the moon, etc. So this thing is going to get in the way of that, all right? So it's not necessarily a good thing, all right? We've had this argument I've had this argument with other people that philosophize, or at least think they philosophize, just like I think I know anything. And they tell me, hey, well, if it's God's creation, then why should we be afraid of anything? Well, if you put your hat in the fire, you're going to get burned, and fire's also part of God's creation. So just don't be a dummy, right? I mean, just be able to exert discernment and practice discernment and not get in the way of the fire, because it's God's creation. You're going to get burned, all right? So I hope I made the point clear. Why is this void up there? And I'm trying to cover this quick, guys, because we have very little time left before the eclipse. But this is going to apply to a lot of other eclipses. This one is different in particular for a few reasons. I'll come to that in a minute. So what does Rahu do? What does the void do? First, we have to know that the souls exist. It's a reality. I can prove it. I'll do videos on all this different at some point. Our souls are connected or tethered to our bodies through our electromagnetic system and also our light system, all right, through our light body, which starts with our eyes, and also it's connected to our pineal gland and the cerebrospinal fluid in our spinal column. It's all connected, and that's who we are. And then we have more gross bodies and more subtle bodies. So we're tethered to the body through our blood and through our heart. What's the blood? What's our blood particular with? What color is it? It's red. Why is it red? Because it's high in iron. Why iron? Oh my gosh, because iron is the most magnetic material known to man in nature. It's the highly magnetic, ferromagnetic material, iron. So it's no coincidence that our bodies are full of iron, especially in the blood. Whereas the Bible said that the life is, the soul resides in the blood. Why? Because of this. Because our souls are tethered electromagnetically to our bodies. Okay, so when we die, our bodies, our souls are recycled. And you can see the symbol for recycling and open your eyes to the truth. The aurora borealis, aka the northern lights, it's a green copper plasma that circulates around the tree of life at the North Pole. And you look up the definition for pole, because pole means tree, and that's why they call it the North Pole, because it's the tree at the center of creation. And so it recirculates all the souls. First of all, it catches them. That's why all needles for the compasses point north, because it's the great attractor. It's when you die, your soul goes there. It's immediately attracted to the North Pole, to the tree of life, and there you get judged and you get recirculated to a new body, to a new life. Might be in this world. You might get circulated to a different world if there's such a thing as other dimensions. You might get circulated to a lesser world, a hell even, or you might get recirculated to a heaven. Hopefully, we all want to be liberated. We all want to be saved by the Lord Christ himself, whom is the tree actually, and ascend to the highest heaven, never to fall down again. That's where the love and the mukti of liberation comes into play. So that is a real thing, and those astral planes are real things. So anyway, coming back to, I'll do videos on these other subjects. I don't want to get sidetracked right now. If you have doubts, just keep researching on your own, or you can ask me a question in the comments. So Rahu is there to devour the souls of the wicked. It's a vacuum system to clean up the earth plane, to clean up this dimension of the most wicked and evil souls. If you have a demonic child murderer, blood drinking, cabal elite member, and you have just your little old neighbor, I mean, they're not going to go to the same place after this life. That would break the principle of justice, and it's not what we see. You can observe throughout your lifetime, if you live long enough, that karma is real, that there is such a thing as cause and effect, spiritually and physically. They apply. So there's different places for different folks that have acted in different ways. And so this vacuum system is actually the bottomless pit, and it's reserved only for the most wicked, for like demon souls, Nephilim, fallen angels, stuff like that. Okay, it's like you really have to be like the worst of the worst, like the crapola of the crapola, to be sucked in by that abyss. And this is stated in Ephesians 6:12. It's the bottomless pit. It's up in the sky. It's interdimensional. All right, and it's going to suck in. And that's what it does, all right? It's a cleaning system for this world.
Why are you here?
For the same reason as anyone who'd been in prison like a beast. Prison like a beast. Prison like a beast. Revenge. 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 Your father banished me to an eternal hell, trying to save a doomed race. And in the end, the only survivor of his pathetic crusade was his son.
And this is between us. These people did nothing to harm you.
No. But you feel no pain greater than to see others in agony.
I won't let you destroy this planet like you did Krypton.
You don't have a choice. Unless you join me.
I'll never join you.
Well, I hope that's a decision you'll be able to live with forever.
This is no fantasy, no careless product of wild imagination. No, my good friends, these indictments that I have brought you today, the specific charges listed herein against the individuals, their acts of treason, their ultimate aim of sedition, these are matters of undeniable fact. I ask you now to pronounce judgment on those accused. On this mindless aberration, whose only means of expression are wanton violence and destruction. On the woman Ursa, whose perversions and unreasoning hatred of all mankind have threatened even the children of the planet Krypton. Finally, General Zod, once trusted by this council, charged with maintaining the defense of the planet Krypton itself, chief architect of this intended revolution and author of this insidious plot to establish a new order amongst us, with himself as absolute ruler. You have heard the evidence. The decision of the council will now be heard. Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
The vote must be unanimous, Jor-El. It has therefore now become your decision. You alone will condemn us if you wish, and you alone will be held responsible by me. Join us. You have been known to disagree with the Council before. Yours could become an important voice in the new order, second only to my own. I offer you a chance for greatness, Jor-El. Take it. Join us. You will bow down before me, Jor-El. I swear it. No matter that it takes an eternity, you will bow down before me. Both you, and then one day, your heirs.
Gospel of Nicodemus. The Descent of Christ.
Chapter 5. While Satan and Hades were thus speaking to each other, there was a great voice like thunder, saying, Lift up your gates, O ye rulers, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting gates, and the King of glory shall come in. When Hades heard, he said to Satan, Go forth, if thou art able to and withstand him. Satan therefore went forth to the outside. Then Hades says to his demons, Secure well and strongly the gates of brass and the bars of iron, and attend to my bolts, and stand in order, and see to everything, for if he come in here, woe will seize us. The forefathers having heard this, began all to revile him, saying, O all-devouring and insatiable, open that the King of glory may come in. David the prophet says, Dost thou not know, O blind, that I, when living in the world, prophesied this saying, Lift up your gates, O ye rulers, Isaiah said. I, foreseeing this by the Holy Spirit, wrote, The dead shall rise up, and those in the tomb shall be raised, and those in the earth shall rejoice. And where, O death, is thy sting? Where, O Hades, is thy victory? There came then again a voice, saying, Lift up the gates, Hades. Hearing the voice the second time, answered as if forsooth he did not know, and says, Who is this King of glory? The angels of the Lord say, The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. And immediately with these words the brazen gates were shattered, and the iron bars broken, and all the dead who had been bound came out of the prisons. And the King of glory came in the form of a man, and all the dark places of Hades were lighted up. Chapter 6. Immediately Hades cried out, We have been conquered. Woe to us! But who art thou, that hast such power and might? And what art thou, who comest here without sin, who art seen to be small and yet of great power, lowly and exalted, the slave and the master, the soldier and the king, who hast power over the dead and the living? Thou wast nailed on the cross, and placed in the tomb, and now thou art free, and hast destroyed all our power. Art thou, then, the Jesus about whom the chief satrap Satan told us, that through cross and death thou art to inherit the whole world? Then the King of glory seized the chief satrap Satan by the head, and delivered him to his angels, and said, With iron chains bind his hands and his feet, and his neck, and his mouth. Then he delivered him to Hades, and said, Take him, and keep him secure till my second appearing. Chapter 7. And Hades, receiving Satan, said to him, Beelzebub, heir of fire and punishment, enemy of the saints, through what necessity didst thou bring about that the King of glory should be crucified, so that he should come here and deprive us of our power? Turn and see that no one of the dead has been left in me, but all that thou hast gained through the tree of knowledge, all hast thou lost through the tree of the cross, and all thy joy has been turned into grief, and wishing to put to death the King of glory. Thou hast put thyself to death. For since I have received thee to keep thee safe, by experience shalt thou learn how many evils I shall do unto thee. O arch-devil, the beginning of death, root of sin, end of all evil, what evil didst thou find in Jesus, that thou shouldst compass his destruction? How hast thou dared to do such evil? How hast thou busied thyself to bring down such a man into darkness, through whom thou hast been deprived of all who have died from eternity? While Hades was thus discoursing to Satan, the King of glory stretched out his right hand, and took hold of our forefather Adam, and raised him. Then, turning also to the rest, he said, Come with me.
Now, this is going to apply to all total solar eclipses. But now, how is this eclipse any different from the rest? It's very different in the sense that there are several signs in the sky, celestial signs, and different signs of different sorts. Like, for example, you're seeing the cicadas, and that's part of Revelation, the locusts, the swarm of locusts. You're seeing the key bridge collapse. That what it's meaning there as well is it's the key that the angel was given to the bottomless pit. So we could be looking at the sixth seal of the apocalypse being opened potentially next Monday, April the 8th. The great restrainer being loosened. The key bridge collapse. I did that decoding video, and that's exactly what it means. The great restrainer is being loosened. The great restrainer being death itself, which had been holding back the devil since the death and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, aka Jeshu Christaya. So let me play a little clip here for you so you can see from the Gospel of Nicodemus what happened when Christ went to Hades, went to the underworld, and how he placed Satan, the devil, under the power and authority of death, which he hadn't been before. He'd been loose, and then he was restrained, and now he's coming back, and he's more than likely in that pit right now, in that bottomless pit in the sky, because it's interdimensional. He's probably going to be let loose next Monday. All right, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He's more than likely going to be let loose right there. We might see some stuff. We might not see some stuff. But things are going to get pretty hairy from then on. But I have good news. And never fear, because the Bible tells us to never fear. Right? Let alone yoga and Vedanta. They tell you like fear shouldn't exist in your life at all. All right? This particular eclipse is going to be very different, because it's not a regular full solar eclipse. It's super extra special. This eclipse is a three-way eclipse. And you can see this from the star charts in the Vedic astrology, that it's not just Rahu and the sun. It's going to be Rahu and the sun and the moon. It's a three-way eclipse. Plus, and that's something nobody knows. I haven't seen it on and I've watched hundreds of videos on this. But Netflix is telling you in that new series called The Three Body Problem, Keith Truth, come on. I mean, what a joke. You're telling me a source is entertainment? Yeah, a source is entertainment because that's where they publish their truths, their half-truths. So three-body problem means that it's a three-way eclipse. And you can verify it with the star charts in Vedic astrology, that Chandra, Surya, and Rahu are right next to each other. They're on top of each other. They don't actually place them exactly on top of each other just to mess with you, but they are on top of each other on April 8th during the eclipse, okay? So it's super extra special. All the celestial bodies are aligned. The planets are aligned. There's that comet that's aligned. And we also have several other signs down on Earth. We have volcanoes erupting, earthquakes, floods all over. The aurora borealis, the northern lights, are exerting a lot of power. And we also have NASA coming out and saying, because they want to play damage control, saying there's a new star that's going to be very bright in the sky. They start doing that, and they call it a supernova, just so that you're deluded before the fact, and they're playing damage control before the fact. So you can't tie it together with the second coming of Christ, whom is Kalki Avatar in the Vedic tradition. It's the same avatar of the Almighty, and he's going to be coming down not so much as Christ was, a gentle, loving figure. He's going to be coming down with a very destructive, powerful. They say that ancient texts say this is going to be the most powerful avatar ever, and he's going to rain down hell on the evil ones. So it's going to be a countdown. Evil's going to be let loose. The devil's going to be let loose, once and for all. If you think you've seen evil, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because after the restrainers loosened on April 8th, and the bottomless pit is open, that key bridge showing us that the fix is in. The key is going to come down, and they're going to. It's not humans that are going to open it. It's the powers, and principalities that are going to open it. But humans are going to try to, wicked humans, evil humans are going to try and lend a hand, because they're firing up CERN, and that CERN, they're not firing up the one in Europe. All right, do not be deceived. They're firing up the one in Waxahachie, Texas. All right, and I'm going to tell you this word Waxahachie is also Sanskritam, 100%. It comes from the root word wax, which the W is a V as in Victor in Sanskrit. So if you spell that if you shorten that, it's Vax Saha Hashi. And that means something pretty bad. I'm going to put the screenshot here, what it means. And you can also kind of deduce what 2020 was all about. But this tie-in with Waxahachie, Texas is going to be very interesting because they have the biggest facility of CERN there. And they say that it was never finished, that it's not in operation, but it is fully operational. It's a military top secret installation underground. And they told the public that it didn't go operational just to keep it under wraps, undercover. Okay, but they were going to fire it up, and it's along the path of totality. And guess what? The speed of the eclipse going over Waxahachie is the only place where that eclipse speed is going to reach 1,666 miles per hour. If you think that's a coincidence, man, I don't know what to tell you. There's no such thing, all right? So this is going to be very interesting. NASA's also firing those sound rockets at the eclipse. Of course, they're not going to hit the eclipse kinetically, but they're going to try to sound it. Why are they using sound? Because sound cymatics is the frequencies of creation. They're going to try to record. They're going to try to, record what the keys are, because the keys are interdimensional and they're cymatic keys. They're phonetic keys, all right, to creation. So they want to record the keys that open the bottomless pit so that they can have access in the future. But it's not going to happen. These things are, the elites have a lot of technology that is the birthright of every human being, but they've been keeping it from us. And they think they're so advanced, but, the Almighty is just all-knowing, and, whatever they're doing is laughable, in the eyes of the Creator. But the wicked will always be wicked, so they're going to, play their cards, and they're going to, play their hand, and we're going to see what happens. And the important thing is that you guys stay safe. Though I recommend that you don't go out on April 8th. Stay at home. Don't travel to the eclipse. Stay wherever. If you're in the eclipse, just tough it out. Probably nothing's going to happen. Hopefully nothing's going to happen. But from what I'm seeing, I would, just not be, if you can, don't be, along the path of the eclipse, because they could also pull a Lahaina on you. It doesn't have to be something supernatural, which could be. They could pull out a fake alien thing, a Project Bluebeam. They could also pull out some of those do weapons attacks and with the crowds. And imagine there's a place where you took hours to get in, and then it's going to take hours to go out, and then a fire breaks out or some crazy thing happens. Imagine the casualty total. So it's a recipe for disaster. I would not recommend that you go travel to the eclipse. Watch it from wherever you are. Watch it on TV. Watch it at home. Don't go to a park. Don't go to a public place. Just stay safe. And whatever you do, just stay in the higher frequencies. Love, humility, gratefulness, loving adoration, gratefulness. All those are the higher frequencies that call in the power of Christ and ward off evil. So always stay there and have no fear. No matter what happens, just do not fear. All right, guys? So the Lord bless you.